You probably have heard of this hot news that just came out. CDC and FDA recommended to pause administration of the J&J, Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine, or Janssen as they call it, because of cases of cerebral venous thrombosis that were discovered. Hello my friend, welcome back to Chatter Docs. I'm Dr. Tor and I'm an internal medicine physician. I decided to record this video in this emergency setting. I'm outside my hospital after work and I'm recording this under a bright sun and there's a lot of cars passing by, so I hope the audio of this video won't bother you much. Yesterday, CDC and FDA put out a joint recommendation to pause administration of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, or Janssen, because they have discovered 6 cases of women who were diagnosed with cerebral venous thrombosis, out of which 1 person have died and 1 is hospitalized in critical situation. These women were between 18 and 48 years old, and they got this condition in the first 1 or 2 weeks after receiving the vaccine. Not long ago, they reported about 30-some cases of the same conditions, cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, or CVST, in London after receiving AstraZeneca vaccine. So in the US, about over 6 million people have gotten Janssen vaccine, and out of these, 6 cases were diagnosed, so it's roughly 1 in a million. And in the case of AstraZeneca, they distributed 20 million doses of that vaccine, out of which about 30 people have gotten that condition, so again, about 1 in a million. This obviously has caused a lot of concern in people, and as you know, there's a lot of people out there who are already anti-vaxxers, and they go like, hey, didn't I tell you vaccines are not working and they're harmful to you and they can kill you and all this shit. So I thought we can answer to those concerns and questions as far as our knowledge goes. First off, let me tell you what is CVST. Our brain does not have regular veins. It has spaces called venous sinuses that receive the venous blood and then return it into the body system. So in some conditions, in some rare medical conditions, blood can clot in those sinuses. And the symptoms of that condition include headache, usually severe headache, nausea, vomiting, some vision change. If it's more severe, the patient can have neurological symptoms like a weakness, numbness, tingling in the arms, or seizure, or altered mental status, confusion, and if it's very severe, they can even go into coma. Now, if it's associated with other blood clots in the body, like blood clots in the lungs or in the legs, they can have those associated symptoms as well, like shortness of breath in the case of having blood clots in the lung, or fast heart rate, or having leg pain or leg swelling in cases of leg blood clots, or DVTs. Now, the problem is headache is a very common condition, and also after getting the vaccine, we expect some, headache and malaise going on as a, mild side effect. So how do we know if this headache is CVST or a regular headache? Well, the associated symptoms are very important. First off, the headache should be severe. And if we have nausea, vomiting, vision changes, and it's a headache that we never had in our life, it's a thunderclap headache or something like that, we should definitely seek medical attention. Also, in this situation, people who have gotten the J&J or AstraZeneca vaccine in the past 1 or 2 weeks, they should be on the watch for these headaches. So if you're one of them and if you have those symptoms, definitely call your doctor and get evaluated as soon as possible. Now, should we be very super concerned and panic about this and just say, oh, all the vaccines are bullshit and just stop this? No. The incidence of this condition is super rare, so it's happening in 1 in a million cases. The regular CVST is a rare condition, and the incidence is about 5 to 15 per million cases per year. So one can say the regular incidence is even higher than in the vaccine cases. Also, the Janssen vaccine is a very small minority of vaccines that are distributed in the United States. The other 2 vaccines that are mRNA vaccines, the Pfizer and Moderna ones, are the majority of cases, and about 120 million people have gotten these vaccines already, and they couldn't find any side effect in those people. So they are actually tried in real life, and we have real life stats about them, so they're effective and there's no big side effects from them. The question is, do these vaccines really cause this condition? Is there a causality in the relationship, or it's just a coincidence? Now, since both J&J and AstraZeneca vaccine are adenovirus type of vaccines, they use a weakened adenovirus and put the genetic material of spike proteins of COVID inside that and then inject that to the people so then that virus can replicate and make the spike protein of COVID-19, and then the immune system will recognize that and activate against it and actually be prepared for the real COVID-19. So these two vaccines were both adenovirus type of vaccines. They used adenovirus as a vector. And we saw these CVST cases only with these two vaccines. I personally believe there is some weak association, but we really need more data and more studies to prove that. The proposed mechanism behind it is that it's an immune-related phenomenon that when you get the adenovirus, it may provoke your immune system to make some antibodies, probably against your platelets, that will activate your coagulation pathways and make blood clots. Interestingly, all these cases also had low platelet levels. So likely there is a phenomenon going on that are activating the platelets to make more blood clots, and also the platelet numbers will go down because they are aggravated in the blood clots. This is also another reason that it's a little different from the regular CVST, because the regular CVST don't usually have low platelet levels or thrombocytopenia. Now, of course, the exact mechanism is still not known, and there's a lot to discover about this condition. I don't know if you can hear me or it's just the church music in the background, but that's good. You know, I don't need the background music for my video then. So it's also worth mentioning that people who get this condition could also have other blood clots in their body. As I said, they can have blood clots in their leg veins, deep venous thrombosis or DVT, or in their lungs, also known as pulmonary embolism or PE. The other question is, why only females? All the cases known in the United States were females between 18 and 48 years old. It's not known. Some might say that women have higher propensity to get autoimmune disorders or hypercoagulable disorders. They also propose that maybe there's an association between taking oral contraceptives and a hypercoagulable state, or having other baseline genetic unknown and undiagnosed hypercoagulable states, which means that when people have a genetic disorder that makes them more prone to make blood clots, but it's not actually diagnosed until something happens. They get a adenovirus and then they make some blood clots maybe. But again, our sample size is too small to draw this conclusion. It's just 6 people. In AstraZeneca case, there were also men diagnosed with this condition. So I like AstraZeneca better. It's not a sexist vaccine, you know. Equality, man, equality. So could there be more cases going around or diagnosed in the next few days and weeks because now there's more attention to this and people are looking out for it? Of course, there could be. We still don't have exact data. We don't have an exact study behind it. Another common question is, what risk factors should people be on the watch if they're planning to get the J&J vaccine? The short answer is, we don't know. But if you have any hypercoagulable state or any other clotting disorders, then it's recommended not to get the adenovirus vaccine. Now, why am I saying these? Because this was only a recommendation by CDC and FDA, and it's not a mandate to stop, because they are planning to study this more. They're actually meeting tomorrow on April 15th to see what studies need to be done and what are the final recommendations that we can do about these vaccines. But if a clinician and a patient weigh the risk benefits and they decide to go forward and get the Janssen vaccine, they can get it. Now, everything in medicine is a discussion between risk benefits, right? Any medication that we take could have certain risks, could pose certain side effects, but at the same time, we want the benefit as well. In this case, this is rare, and our chance of dying from being struck by lightning is higher than this, or actually our chance of dying from getting COVID-19. So one could weigh the risk benefit and say, go ahead, give it to me. But it's recommended, especially if you're a female in younger age, get the other vaccines that are available. And also, if you have gotten 1 dose of Janssen vaccine, it's recommended for you to reschedule your second dose or even forgo it and to get the other vaccines. Now, again, it's very, very important not to panic, not to accuse all the vaccines of causing harm, but be reasonable here and look at the hundreds of million people who've gotten the other vaccines and actually have developed a good, more than 90% immunity against COVID-19, which is the key to end this freaking pandemic and go back to normal life. So stay safe, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share this video with all your loved ones, and see you soon.